Hi, I'm Max Gochman from Franklin Templeton Investment Solutions, and you're watching Taking Stock.
Markets in mixed territory here on this Tuesday, October 21st. This after a big rally here on Wall Street to kick off the trading week. Yesterday, shares of GM sharply in focus, having one of their best days that we have seen for the auto giant out of Detroit in years. The tail of the tape for GM after crushing the ball here for Q3 quarterly earnings, up 15%. We'll talk much more about GM later on in the show. Speaking of the show, welcome to it. This is it. You're watching it right now. This is Taking Stock. I'm your host, JD Durkin. Mere moments away, my friends, from the ringing of the one, the only iconic closing bell. We do it every day right here on the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange. On this Tuesday, we got the team from HB Fuller. That is ticker symbol FUL. Here to do the honors, our good friend Phil Rosen's on deck. He'll be joining us in just a second to talk about a lot of things he is seeing in the general macroeconomic environment, including the rotation in today's trade from gold to Bitcoin in terms of the top performing sectors in the S&P 500 on this trading Tuesday. A strong session for discretionary stocks, industrials, and telecom, while we are seeing laggards to the downside include utilities, staples, and real estate. Out of the Dow 30, a strong day for 3M, Salesforce, and Coca-Cola. A jam-packed half hour here on Taking Stock you simply do not want to miss. And with that, my friends, the team from HB Fuller here to do the honors. I gotta be honest, I've been down here for thousands of closing bells. I've never seen the head of the gavel go flying off. That's the enthusiasm we are bringing here on Wall Street. The team from HB Fuller, I think they caught themselves off guard with the amount of force. That's what happens. You hit the gym a little too hard, folks. The tail of the tape, the S&P 500, exactly flat on the day. That's basically what's going to happen. It looks like the Dow is going to miss that first ever close above 47,000, but have some fractional gains. The New York Stock Exchange Composite Index down 1/10, while the small caps, as is oftentimes the story, bearing the brunt of that risk-on rotation. The small caps down 0.5%. Let's bring in Phil Rosen, a very good friend of mine and a good friend of ours here on the show. He's the co-founder of Opening Bell Daily. My man, welcome back to the broadcast.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we saw gold in retreat today. I don't oftentimes look up and see gold down 235 handles. This is the worst day gold's had in over 5 years, down about 5.5%. What do you make of the rotation from gold to Bitcoin in these sessions?
Yeah, so we don't know if it was a real rotation from gold to Bitcoin, but that is what the data and the charts look like right now. So gold, you said, dropped about 5% today, right? Bitcoin was up almost 2%, so that usually doesn't happen on the same day, especially not this year. Gold's been up 55%, so Bitcoin's 20% since the start of 2025. And I think I saw stats today, gold has hit 50 all-time highs this year alone, and Bitcoin's had way fewer than that. So there's something that my partner Anthony Pompliano called out on Monday called the Great Rotation. In his newsletter the other day, he said we could be on the brink of that, and lo and behold, the next day, we're maybe seeing the start of that. And this is going to be Bitcoin catching up to its historical trends, right? So in the fourth quarter, Bitcoin averages 60% gain, and it's only up a few percentage points since the start of October. So we could see Bitcoin ripping much higher just to catch up with its last decade of performance.
Yeah, to the question more broadly of seasonality, not just for the broader market, but for Bitcoin specifically, what will you be looking for in the weeks ahead to give you confirmation that we are once again following through on the seasonal trends for Bitcoin, or that maybe things could be shaping up in a different way for Q4?
Look, you never know what's going to happen, right? Past performance says nothing about future results.
Yeah.
However, in the last 10 years, Bitcoin has averaged 20% in October. We're nowhere near that. And Bitcoin's averaged 60% in the fourth quarter. We're nowhere near that. So if we do half as much as what Bitcoin has done in the last 10 years, we're probably going to have a pretty good year end for this asset.
You and I last week were talking much more about the debasement trade. Let's get into it. Who benefits, what certain kind of cryptos or equities across the broader markets as the US dollar continues to weaken? The debasement trade's not something we've talked a lot about in the past. Suddenly, I feel like you can't throw a stone without talking about it multiple times a day here on Wall Street.
the debasement trade is everywhere because JP Morgan gave a name to it, right? So we know stocks are up big this year, but in large part that's because the US dollar has been down big, one of its worst years in decades. The US dollar has been in a structural bear market since inception of time, right? The fiat currency will always go lower, which means Bitcoin and gold will march higher indefinitely. And as long as the government keeps printing money and keeps inflating itself away, people are going to be looking for things that protect their purchasing power, things like gold and Bitcoin.
To the point about the U.S. government, today is day 21 of the ongoing government shutdown. But we are actually expected to get a CPI inflation print on Friday. The government needs to release it for the Social Security cost of living adjustment. What are you looking for out of that print? We don't get a lot of economic data these days, Phil Rosen.
The lack of government data since the government shutdown began, I think has been very bullish for stocks because all these potentially negative headwinds from the data, investors have gotten none of it. So instead, they can just keep going forward, ignore the government shutdown, ignore potentially negative government data. But with CPI this Friday, it's probably going to be in line with last month's, about 3%. And I don't expect that to have too material of an impact on markets, at least, let's say, the broad stock market. You might see some movement at the edges in reaction to it, but generally markets have disregarded economic data and the government shutdown in recent months, and I don't expect that to change.
Before I let you go, about 30 seconds, what can people do if they want to find out more about Opening Bell Daily, my friend?
You're spoiling me here. People can go find me at openingbelldailynews.com, subscribe to our morning newsletter. I write it every single day, and we publish on Sundays, our Best Ideas Club. So find me there. It's a great newsletter, and we work very hard to make it the best.
Phil Rosen and his team from Opening Bell Daily, the man himself, join us to kick off the broadcast here on the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange. My man, thank you as always.
Thank you.
It is great to see you. Josh will take your mic. Todd, you and I are going to head for a walk this way. We'll bring you the latest poly market contract odds and statistics surrounding the ever-lingering question, how long will the federal government shutdown go on for? It is already, believe it or not, the third longest federal government shutdown we have ever had. Once we get through tomorrow, it becomes the second longest. Once we surpass Wednesday, November 5th, it officially becomes the longest government shutdown we have ever had. 38% chance on poly market this thing lasts. At least until November 16, 14% chance it ends sometime between Halloween and November 3rd. Only a 12% chance the federal government shutdown ends in the next couple of days. We will watch those odds very closely in the days, maybe weeks or longer ahead. Todd, we'll take a look at one big New York Stock Exchange notable company. I don't frequently look up and see 14.8% for a stock here at the New York Stock Exchange, knocking the cover off the ball. A huge Q3 beat for the auto giant out of Detroit, and lifting guidance. Smaller tariff impact than had been previously forecasted. GM CEO Mary Barra expressing confidence in the trajectory of General Motors. That stock is up 26% year to date. Todd, finally take a look at shares here of XLY. This is the consumer discretionary ETF. Having itself a nice day here, up 1.2%. The most weighted name in the discretionary ETF is Amazon, which had itself a great day. Also a strong performance in the session from names like Booking Holdings as well as Home Depot. They are both highly weighted in this particular ETF. This was the best performing sector in the S&P 500. Shares of XLY are up 6% so far here in 2025. Hub 71, a leading tech hub in Abu Dhabi, is building a powerful ecosystem for startups and entrepreneurs. And this week, the community is buzzing. Is it ever? With the Hub 71 Impact event. It's a two-day showcase of both innovation as well as collaboration. FinTech TV's very own Vince Molinari is live on site. Take it away, Vince.
Hey, JD, thanks. As you know, I'm here in Abu Dhabi. What you didn't know is I'm in the ball pit at Hub 71 Impact 2025, and we're having a great go of it. As always, you know, everything in ADGM have amazing talent. Today, CEO Ahmad Ali Alwan of Hub 71 did a fireside chat with Damon John. We know Damon John, the OG judge from Shark Tank and the legendary Fubu founder. Went through the epic journey of Damon John from Hollis, Queens, and go Queens, all of us Queens guys out there, all the way through his stardom and his epic success as a businessman. You got to check it out for so much insight.
Founder, investor, a leading voice on entrepreneurship. Thank you so much for joining us today. So I wanted to know what inspired you, what does the name mean for you, and I'd say what was the pivotal moment for you with Fubu?
Well, you know, the name Forest Bias, a lot of people thought there was only for a color by a color, but then I would have been guilty of the same bigotry and various of the things that I was fighting against. And I was always told, never become the thing you're fighting against. For us, bias was, at the time in my limited scope, was just people who loved hip hop. And we were making for people that love hip hop by a bunch of guys that loved hip hop. FUBU started to become reinterpreted in different countries. In Korea, it's more like a skate brand.
Yeah.
In Manila, it's still a huge hip hop brand. So that was really the origin of it, was really people that, remember at that time, we called this the first hashtag of clothing. At that time, there was no social media, there was no internet. But if I'm walking across the street, I can tell the music that person liked, right? It was our form of a community, a form of communicating and giving somebody a nod without even ever having to talk to that person.
And so how did the LL Cool J come about? And I should maybe tell the audience, so I'd say one of the biggest, I'd say maybe brand moments, correct me if I'm wrong, was when LL Cool J actually wore a FUBU on a national TV ad.
Yeah, so the Gap, a lot of people are always going to want to get into your industry, and the Gap wanted to get into the hip-hop industry, and they put in LL Cool J, but he felt a little offended at the way they were treating him. So within that commercial, he says, for us, by us, on the low. Again, there's no social media out. The Gap spent $30 million for a month and a half airing that ad. Nobody could have hit the Gap and said, hashtag fail, or what's going on. They spent $30 million airing that ad, and in that ad, he's talking about FUBU.
Wow.
It became one of the biggest advertising, topics when we talk about guerrilla marketing. Now, I do want to give a compliment to the Gap, because they did their analysis and they looked and they realized that the target market they were trying to hit increased 300% because the kids thought they can get FUBU with the Gap. They called us up, we gave each other a big old hug, and they re-aired that ad.
Yeah.
But that's why you think about your companies, your organizations, you need to have people in the organization that look and think like the people you serve.
So we see a lot of deals that go through Shark Tank, and I actually didn't realize that Bomba was the top performing companies. I do see them come up, but how many actually close after the camera stopped rolling?
So, all right, I'll give you a couple of things about Shark Tank that people may or may not know.
Yeah.
First of all, that is our money.
Yeah.
I don't know why people ask me if that's my money. Because trust me, if it wasn't my money, I'd give everybody a deal. We don't know anything about those people, zero. And even if I'm on a set and I can see they're setting it up and I see a logo,
Yeah.
if I see that you or another shark Google that logo, if I go bad on that, I'm going to say, well, you cheated. That's why you were out, right? So we know nothing about those people. We don't even get a piece of paper on those people. The shortest pitch I've ever witnessed was about 20 minutes. The longest pitch I've witnessed was 2.5 hours.
Wow.
Thank you.
Damon, your story reminds us of the foundation that every great venture is a dream, is belief. It's belief in the product, the mission, and the people behind it. We see the same energy with our founders and shaping Abu Dhabi's ecosystem. So thank you for showing the world that hustle, creativity, authenticity are timeless ingredients for success.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Welcome back to the broadcast. You are watching Taking Stock. Time now for the latest you need to know in the world of fintech, crypto, and AI for your Trading Tuesday. It is Tuesday, right? I got that right? Yeah, on this Trading Tuesday. First up, the crypto majors continuing their rally today with Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana all up on the day. Next up, Fed Governor Christopher Waller saying crypto is now, quote, woven into the fabric of the U.S. financial system, calling it a new era for payments. I know many people would agree. And finally, Tether surpassing 500 million users worldwide, with its USDT supply now approaching $182 billion. Yeah, that's billion with a B. Joined us now is Gerald David down here on the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange. Gerald, the other JD, really I'm the other JD, he's number one. He's the CEO of Link, and he joins us now. My man, thank you for being here.
JD, great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Great to have you. Let's first and foremost give a bit of an introduction to the work you and your colleagues do at Link for any of our viewers unfamiliar, and where do you fit into the broader crypto ecosystem?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me again, JD. Great to be with you today. So Link itself is a real-time settlement system. It's basically taking collateral, which are shares of a treasury fund, and using them in a private permission blockchain in order to settle transactions and move collateral around the ecosystem.
What most excites you about where the underlying technology is today? Those biggest opportunities, the things that get you most jazzed up when you wake up in the morning?
Yeah, I think it's the opportunity to revolutionize the way that financial systems work, right? Settlement and clearing has always been the linchpin of the way that financial markets move, and I think that in this scenario, we're taking blockchain, we're marrying that with the treasury fund, and allowing for clients to actually have yield in transit, which is a patent that's about to be approved by the patent office for us.
In terms of settlement and clearing, what other rules of the road still need to happen? Where does regulatory clarity still need to come? And I got no doubt in 2025, you probably had a lot of progress already so far, but I'd imagine there's still a lot more work that needs to be done.
100%. I mean, we're not new to this game. We started the tokenization journey back in 2018. We actually, in fact, at ARCA created the first 40 Act fund that issues its shares as digital asset securities. So we've seen the ecosystem evolve over the course of time, and I think the most interesting thing right now for us is the actual harmonization of rules and regulations and allowing for innovation to happen. This platform that we've got right now that we've taken really is an example of that.
Gerald, I got no doubt we got a lot of viewers, and finally, after all these years, they're saying, all right, I'm finally caught in to the Bitcoin, the broader crypto major hype. I get it, I understand it. It is firmly here to stay in the lens of institutional adoption. Talk to me a bit more about why settlement specifically matters to the overall conversation.
Settlement's so important, as I said before. It's just the linchpin of almost every single transaction. Without settlement, unfortunately, you can't have finality. And with finality, obviously, you've got a transaction that's been consummated. So starting to see some of the steps that are taking place both by the DTCC and the CFTC and allowing for settlement to now adopt and incorporate digital assets is something that's truly revolutionary.
I'm sure for the space that you're in, there's no shortage of competition. You got a lot of people out there. They've been jumping in seemingly by the day. What gives you most confidence that Link is set apart? Where do you feel like that competitive edge is for Link that maybe the rest of the competition does not have going for it?
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of treasury funds that are coming across the market right now, but I think that no one really offers an end-to-end solution with a battle-tested technology that delivers interest back to its users. And I think that's truly really important, and that's what's resonating with the marketplace when we talk about what Link really is.
Over the last 6 months, I've been having so many more conversations about the general theme of tokenization. Are you sensing real momentum with it? Was it sort of a one-time thing where, maybe some bills passed the hallway of Congress and we talked about it in the past, or do you see that momentum continue? We'll be talking about tokenization for quite some time.
Yeah, I think the momentum has started, and it's actually really, it's really being propelled towards the future right now. When you take a look at the way that some of the larger institutions are adopting digital assets right now, BlackRock, for one, moving from simply outsourcing their issuance to a company called Securitize, and now issuing tokens themselves, security tokens, is really meaningful. Even the stuff that you see, as I said before, with the CFTC, allowing for DCOs to accept digital assets in the form of stable tokens for collateral, these are meaningful steps right now that all have been watching for so long are now seeing come to reality.
What are some of your favorite real-world use cases of all of these things that you think maybe our viewers might want to pay a little bit more attention about if they come across in their own day-to-day?
Yeah, I think that the use case when people think about settlement, they think about settling transactions. But I think that there's cross-border use cases that are really, really important. Companies that ultimately have been using wires for years and years and years now have the ability to use blockchain in order to transfer large amounts of capital from one place to another. It's revolutionizing collateral movements, treasury management, all of the use cases that we were looking at dating back to 2018.
I'm all out of time, but I cannot wait to have you back on the show. I hope you'll come back in the next few weeks. Gerald David, the CEO at Link, also known as JD, my man. You absolutely crushed it.
Thanks, JD.
Thank you for being here. Grateful, and we'll do it again soon. Folks, don't go anywhere. Much more Taking Stock coming up live from the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange, including the latest on startups, raises, and rounds, plus much more from Hub 71 Impact in Abu Dhabi. Don't go anywhere. More Taking Stock coming up after this. Let's do it, folks. Welcome back to Taking Stock. Now for the latest in the world of startups, raises, and rounds that you need to know for your Trading Tuesday. First up, crypto wallet and major exchange platform Blockchain.com reportedly working with Cohen and Company Capital Markets to go public in a potential SPAC listing. Next up, AI health platform Open Evidence, known as ChatGPT for doctors, is raising a cool $200 million at a $6 billion valuation, doubling its valuation in only 3 months. And finally, obesity medicine leader Known Well raising $25 million in a CVS Health-led round to expand nationwide. FinTech TV's very own Ornella Hernandez caught up with P1 Energy CEO Martin Poplica at Hub 71 Impact in Abu Dhabi. Take a look.
This is the Hub 71 elevator pitch. We all know how important pitches are. It can make or break you. So I'm gonna go in and talk to founders and see if they're worth investing in. They got 2 minutes to convince me, so let's go. Hey Martin, you ready to tell me what P1 Energy is all about?
Absolutely.
All right, let's get started. You got 2 minutes on the clock and let's go.
All right. At P1 Energy, we decentralize fuel. Inherently, what we do is we make plug and play mini refineries containerized in a box that make synthetic liquid fuels out of water and air wherever those fuels are needed. That's critical for gaining energy independence and security for countries all around the world that don't have access to crude oil, or countries like, or states like California that have a rapid decline in aging infrastructure. Refineries are about 60 years old on average, and they're shutting down. So people don't have access to liquid fuels. On the flip side, apart from making fuel closer to where it's needed without having to transport it across the ocean, subject to pirate attacks and a lot of choke points as the Suez Canal and others, we decrease greenhouse gas emissions by 97%. Imagine that. Put our synthetic fuel in a car that you already have, aboard an airplane, and you cut the emissions by 97% simply by changing the fuel. That's what we're about. And we're here at the Impact event as one of the Hub 71 cohort members to showcase our solutions, meet partners and people who are interested in not only decarbonizing their legacy vehicle fleets, but actually building the future of decentralized synthetic fuel networks.
Decentralized synthetic, say that again?
Decentralized synthetic fuel.
Okay, explain what that is.
Yeah, so you could make fuel out of water and air without relying on large refineries that we have today, and you don't need crude oil. You make it out of, as I said, water and air. Yeah. So that means that you could actually bring these fuels to the cars, fuel stations, and infrastructure that already exists and decrease emissions while driving energy security of entire countries.
Welcome back. I'm Scarlett Sieber of Money 2020, and we have another segment for the breakdown. Today, we're not going to be talking about a company, a bull, or bear market. We're talking about a legend, a visionary, a human that has played such a key role in creating and scaling many of the most iconic fintech companies that we know today. No other than Max Levchin. Max is probably most famous for being one of the key bosses, if you will, in the PayPal mafia, a group that has gone on to build most of the major brands that we know today. That's a bit of an overstatement, but honestly not by that much. So let's close our eyes for a second. Picture this. It was the late 1990s, dot-com bubble inflating like a bad party balloon. Elon Musk has X.com, dreaming of digital banking. Peter Thiel and pals, including Levchin, launched Confinity to beam money via Palm Pilots. Remember those things? They all merged in 2000, birthing PayPal. It wasn't the PayPal we think of today, though there was a lot of drama in the boardroom at that time. Despite the drama, PayPal was sold to eBay in 2002 for $1.5 billion, and suddenly Max had the capital and connections to build something truly groundbreaking. Let's zoom in on Max for a second, the definition of the American dream. He was born in Kiev and the unsung hero who made it all possible. He and his family fled to the Soviet Union to the Ukraine at 16. You may be starting to see where this grit comes from. Then he lands in Chicago, becomes a programmer at the University of Illinois. Talk about a journey through the wilderness. No silver spoon, just smarts and hustle. Speaking of hustle, Max did not rest on his laurels. He founded Slide, sold to Google for $182 million. Then onto Yelp, where he was chair of the board at 29. Yes, people, 29. There's more. HVS, his hard, valuable, fun incubator. And then Glow, a fertility app using data to help families. Personal touch after his own struggles. Anyone who can build billion-dollar financial companies and then pivot into solving problems in fertility is simply a unicorn, something that he's created many, many of. But of course, the crown jewel, Affirm, launched in 2012. Buy now, pay later, but honest, no hidden fees, just smart lending. We talked about Klarna recently, so I won't go into what that is in too much of BNPL, but Max and Affirm really put it on the map in the US especially. Max once said that the hallmark of a really good entrepreneur is that you realize one day that you can't really work for anyone else. You have to start your own thing. It almost doesn't matter what that thing is. Well, he has done exactly that. Here's to you, Max, and we can't wait to see you at Money 2020 in Las Vegas in October. Back over to you.
Welcome back to the broadcast. With the remaining moment or so here on Taking Stock live from the trading floor of the New York Stock Exchange, we'll get you quickly updated on one big earnings report that just came out after the bell. That's, of course, the team from Netflix. That stock is down 5% after hours after a miss on earnings. We had been looking into insights into profitability among rising artificial intelligence-related costs for the streaming giant. We did see revenue jump more than 15% in Q3, but a Brazilian tax dispute with regards to some of those foreign markets weighing on operating margins. Netflix stock is up 40% year to date, but getting throttled here after hours. We'll see what the tail of the tape is for tomorrow at the open. Speaking of tomorrow after the bell, we'll hear from Tesla. We'll hear what the auto giant has to say, and we'll also get quarterly reports from IBM as well. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., right here from the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, both NYSE TV and FinTech TV Live will both be down here at the NYSE, counting you down to the open. And that's going to do it. This is Taking Stock. Have a fantastic Tuesday evening, and we will see you tomorrow.
Woo, yeah.